Hello, everyone, and welcome to our core stability session today. We're going to go ahead and start with our hundreds. So you're going to start on your back, head rested, feet flat to the floor, knees bent and pointing towards the ceiling. Reach your arms long by your sides so that your fingertips are reaching towards the same direction your toes are, palms face down, arms at hip height. Curl up, chin to chest, shoulder blades hover off the ground, upper abs activated. And you're going to pump your arms, keeping them straight, just lifting and lowering them an inch or two above the hips, an inch or two below the hips as you pump, 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 pump the arms. Keep those shoulder blades lifted the entire time. Think about locking them in space, hovering over the floor to keep those upper abs activated. Keep breathing here. Don't forget your breath. Every single pump of the arms here is going to create instability through the core and make it a little bit more challenging for those upper abs to stay still and engaged. If you want more for the low abs, push the low back down into the ground. Start to ground through the low abs by pulling the belly button towards the spine, spine towards the floor. If you want more for the low abs, you can lift the feet off the ground. Shins are parallel to the ceiling with knees bent, stacked over the hips like an upside down L shape. Or you can extend the legs along to the diagonal, legs straight, and that'll offer more challenge through the low abs, keeping that low back glued to the ground. Keep breathing, just a couple more seconds here. And in 3, 2, 1, rest your head. Take a nice deep breath. Give yourself a wiggle if you need. We're going to go to crunches, sit-ups, or roll-ups. You're going to get to pick which one you'd like to do. I'm going to break down all 3. So starting with crunches, feet flat to the floor, knees to the ceiling, head rested, hands go behind your head with your elbows nice and wide, and your hands are there just for gentle support, not pushing or pulling. And you curl and release. Shoulder blades hover off the ground and then release back to the ground. That's your crunch. For sit-up, your head starts rested, your arms are reaching up towards the ceiling, and you roll all the way up, shoulders stack over hips. At the top, your arms end up reaching forward because they stay in front of the shoulders, wherever the shoulders are facing. So not using your arms to swing to get momentum. They are just hanging out there, extended forward from the shoulders. And then a roll-up is the same thing as a sit-up. The legs are just out straight and long instead of bent, feet flat. Take whichever one's working for you. Work through your range. And in 3, 2, 1, come back down, head rested, feet flat to the floor, knees to the ceiling. We are going to take it to single leg circles. Take your palms, push them down into the ground outside your hips. Keep your head rested. Take your right knee towards your chest and then extend that right leg straight, point your toe towards the ceiling. You're going to draw circles across the body first. So I want you to go counterclockwise. So right toes go left, down, right, and up through center. And just draw these circles, trying to keep grounded through the torso. Think about pulling that spine down towards the floor. Breathing as you go. You choose how big the circle is. You choose how low or how high it is. The lower and the bigger the circle, the more challenging it is to keep your torso locked in place. And the bigger the stretch, you get mobility through the hip, through the inner thigh, through the top of the thigh. When you're ready, reverse directions to get clockwise. So the leg goes right, down, left, and up through center. Hip mobility, leg strength and stretch, core activation as you're trying to cement your entire torso down to the ground. Push those palms down to the ground outside the hips. And in 3, 2, 1, bend your right knee into your chest and then send your right foot flat to the floor. Give yourself a wiggle if you need to. We're going to switch sides. So your left knee comes into your chest, and then you're going to take that left leg, extend it straight to the ceiling with a pointed toe. We're going to draw our circles across the body first, so this time we start clockwise. Left toes go right, down, left, and up through center. Again, you're choosing how big or small this circle is based off of your torso. If your torso is still stuck in place, cemented to the floor, maybe make that circle a little bit bigger. If your torso is wiggling, wobbling, maybe a little bit smaller. Glue your spine down. Hip mobility, leg strength and stretch, bonus activation through the core to stabilize us. Reverse directions, counterclockwise. Toes go left, down, right, and up through center. Breathing as you go. And 3, 2, 1. Bend that left knee. Send both feet flat to the floor, knees pointed towards the ceiling. We're going to go into our single leg stretch next. So keep your left foot flat to the floor for now. Pull your right knee into your chest and give it a hug. As you give it a hug, lift your shoulder blades off the ground to hover. From here, you have the option to leave your left foot where it is or extend it long to hover off the ground with a pointed toe. Now, all you do is you just switch which leg you're hugging. Left knee comes into chest, right leg extends, switch and switch. Now your shoulder blades are hovering the entire time. They're locked in space and time. They're not lifting, they're not lowering. They're staying exactly where they are as the legs switch. Keeping your shoulder blades hovering is those upper abs activating and working. And then with your legs, you get a nice stretch as you pull the knee to the chest, a nice lengthening as you extend the leg away from you, but you're also getting activation through the obliques, the side abs, because we're doing one leg at a time, and you're also getting low abs as the leg extends away from the core, so the core has to work harder to support and stabilize. And in 3, 2, 1, I want you to hug both knees into your chest. Give your head a brief rest on the ground to get those upper abs a brief moment of reprieve. And then you'll roll back up into your tight ball. So your knees are hugged to your chest, your hands are around those shins, your shoulder blades are hovering. You're going to take it to double leg stretch. Extend your legs nice and long to the diagonal away from the torso as you circle your arms out to the sides and then behind the shoulders. And then you hug everything back into your ball. So one tight ball. Everything extends away from the torso, back to one tight ball. You want to keep your low back grounded and try to keep your shoulder blades hovering the entire time as you're doing this exercise. It's very challenging. And in 3, 2, 1, rest. You can take your feet flat to the floor. You can rest your head for a brief moment while we go into single straight leg stretch next. So from your feet flat, knees to the ceiling position, curl up so that your shoulder blades hover off the ground once again. Pull your right knee into your chest, and then I want you to extend that right leg straight and long to the ceiling with a pointed toe. Take both hands and reach as high towards your right ankle as you can. Wherever on your leg you land is fine, as high as you can. Keep your shoulder blades lifted. Left foot can either stay here or it can hover, extended long on the ground with a pointed toe. Switch. Left leg goes up, right leg goes down. Switch and switch. So your hands are going to stay up the entire time. They're going to grab whatever leg is reaching towards the ceiling as high as you can. Again, those upper abs are locked in time and space. So the shoulder blades stay hovering the entire time. Upper abs stay activated as we move through the legs. Feel a nice, beautiful stretch through the backs of the legs every time the leg goes up towards the ceiling. Breathe. And in 3, 2, 1, rest your head, send your feet flat to the floor. We're going to go into double straight leg stretch next. So that means take your hands, press them down hard into the ground outside the hips, and then send your legs to the ceiling. Squeeze your inner thighs together, point your toes. Legs nice and straight as you can get. Now we're going to work low abs here, so I want you to cement your spine down to the floor, pull your belly button down as hard as you can, press really hard through the palms, lower your legs to the diagonal away from the torso, and then you'll lift them back up to the ceiling. I want you to do a slow lower, squeezing those inner thighs together as you lower, and a quick lift. So slow, low, fast lift. This is low abs and inner thighs working here for your stability. Because we're working low abs, and whenever we do work low abs, we have to be really cognizant of our low back pressing down into the ground. That's going to protect the low back and put the work in the low abs instead of letting the low back take the load, which we want to avoid to prevent injury. Work those low abs. And in 3, 2, 1, bend your knees, send your feet flat to the floor. Give yourself a little wiggle if you need. We take it to our bicycle or crisscross crunches. So your hands can go behind your head, elbows wide. If you need to take them across your chest, reaching towards opposite collarbone or shoulder, you can. And we're going to start with crunching your chest towards your right knee as you pull your right knee towards your chest. Reset back to your starting position. Crunch towards your left knee as you pull your left knee towards your chest. And switch, switch, switch. If you do have your hands behind your head, I want your elbows as wide can be, opening them nice and wide. And you have the option to turn this, which is a cross crunch, into a bicycle crunch by extending your leg long to hover off the ground after it comes in towards your chest. So knee to chest, other leg hovers, knee to chest, other leg hovers. You're always crunching slightly towards the knee that's pulling towards your chest. Trying to keep those shoulder blades lifted. When you crunch to the side, your shoulder blade will automatically want to dig into the ground. Make your twist a little less dramatic, make it a little bit smaller to try to keep those shoulder blades lifted. After this, you get a little bit of a break through those upper abs. In 3, 2, 1, rest. Nice job. Let everything go. And I'm going to get a drink. We come to standing for our standing balance set. All right. We're going to start standing with our feet hip width apart, toes forward with calf raises, just to get our balance going through our feet. So your hands can be wherever supports you for balance. Hands can be on your hips, out to the sides, overhead, holding on to something this entire time. Do what's going to work for you. Heels lift and lower. The toes, the balls of the feet stay grounded the entire time as the heels go up and down. Breathing as you go. Keeping those shoulders stacked over your hips. Now, next time your feet are flat, I want you to bring your heels together to touch toes apart. So like you're gonna slide a piece of pie or a piece of pizza between your feet. The tip of the pie or pizza would be at the heels. The crust would be at the toes. The turnout of your toes does not have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be a big piece of pizza or pie. It can be a small one. And then from here, we're gonna do the calf raises here. So you're gonna lift your heels and then lower them back down to the ground. When your heels lift, your heels will come apart from each other. And then when they tap back on the ground, they will reunite. So now we're getting a different angle, inner and outer, instead of the center of the calves. And when you're ready, feet are gonna stay flat exactly as they are. You're gonna take a soft bend through your left knee. We're gonna stabilize through the left leg. You're gonna take your right leg, tap your right toes forward into the left. So right toes tap in front of the left foot as far forward as you can, and then they reset back underneath the right hip. So right toes tap in front of left foot, reset underneath right hip. When you do this, I want you to think about keeping that turnout of your right leg. So think about your inner thigh reaching more towards the ceiling than the top of your thigh. That's going to give you more inner thigh work. You got it. Moving at your pace. You choose how much weight you put in your foot when you're tapping it down. The less weight, the more challenging this becomes because the less support you're giving between each tap or in between each movement. The next move, we're gonna build on. You always can stay here if you'd like to. You're gonna tap right toes in front of left foot, and then you're gonna take it to a lateral high knee. So that right knee is gonna come up and wider than the right hip, and then you repeat. You have the option to reset the foot underneath the hip before you take it to the next movement. So you can go right toes tap, reset underneath the hip, lateral high knee, reset underneath the hip, or you can go toes tap, high knee, toes tap, high knee. So you're choosing what's gonna work for you. You choose how high the high knee is. If you're wobbling, that's great. That's what we want. That's where we grow. That's where we find our challenge. Find what's gonna challenge you. I'm gonna tip on over. All right, next time your knee is up, go ahead and bring your right foot to the ground. And then I want you to lift your right foot off the ground just underneath the hip. Doesn't have to be in any sort of direction. And I want you to start writing something with your toes. So whether you're drawing letters or your name or the alphabet, in letters or braille dots, does not matter. I want you to draw something with your right foot as if your right foot is working on a masterpiece or doing a test. You can choose whatever you'd like to do. I'm tipping over. And this is an extra challenge because now our brain is trying to create whatever we're tracing with our toes while we're still balancing on one foot. So let yourself wobble through it. We've got multiple distractions now. Instead of just one task at hand, we are doing two. Balance for the brain. And in 3, 2, 1, both feet go flat to the floor. Take your feet wider than hip width or shoulder width apart. Toes forward, wide-legged forward fold. Push your hips back towards whatever's behind you and then reach your hands down long to the floor. Let your head hang heavy. Feel that stretch through the backs of the legs, also inner outer thighs and glutes. This is our reset before we do it all again. Slowly roll back up to standing. And we start with our calf raises with our feet hip width apart, toes forward, heels lift and lower. Just your standard calf raise here. Heels up, heels down. Relax your shoulders, taking deep breaths. And when you're ready, we're gonna come back to our heels together, toes apart. So bring your heels together to touch, your toes are apart. Slide an imaginary piece of pie between your feet. Maybe you give it a flavor. Mine's banana cream pie, as you probably all know. And then your heels lift and lower, heels lift and lower. So continuing to do calf raises, this time with a slight turnout of the toes, we're just getting different activation. Heels separate at the top, they connect back together at the bottom. You're breathing. Don't forget to breathe. You've got it. All right, next time your feet are flat, keep them right there. You're gonna take your left toes, tap them in front of your right foot, and then reset those left toes underneath your hip. When you're doing these toe taps a little bit diagonally in front of you, I want you to think about rotating your thigh, the inner thigh, so it's more so facing the ceiling than the top of the thigh. This is gonna work the inner thigh a little bit more. While you're working through this, you're picking your pace, you're picking how far forward and across that tap is, and you're choosing how much pressure is going into the foot each time you tap. The more pressure, the more stability. You have a soft bend through your right knee because your right leg is your stabilizer here, and that is going to help activate all your stabilizer muscles in the thighs, the glutes, to help keep you upright. All right, you have the option to stay here, or you have the option to add in a lateral high knee. Left toes tap in front of right foot, and then left knee comes up and wide, lateral high knee. So you're moving across, you're moving in diagonals here. Left toes tap in front of right foot, left knee comes up and wider than the hip. You choose how wide, you choose how high. This is all about what's gonna work for you today. It's big on the hips. Is also big on the glutes and obliques as well, trying to stabilize you, keep you upright with one side of the body moving and one side being still. Nothing like a hip opener on a Monday. All right, next time your leg comes up to that high knee, set it down to the ground and lift it slightly off the ground, and then we draw. Maybe you do the other half, maybe you didn't finish whatever masterpiece you were working on. You take your left toes and trace something, maybe the alphabet, maybe a picture, maybe it's whatever you want it to be. I don't know why the first thing in my mind is a snowman, because it is August, but that's what comes to my mind. So just tracing, and this becomes, yes, balance for the body, but also adding that extra task of having to use your brain to do something other than balance, but also to create whatever you're making, adds that extra instability. Balance for the brain. And when you're ready, set that foot back down. We take it to our wide-legged forward fold. Feet wider than shoulder width apart, toes point forward, push your hips back, and let your head and your hands hang heavy down towards the ground. Feel that nice stretch through the backs of the legs and elongation through the spine, opening through the inner outer thighs, the hips. You are breathing. Maybe take a bend in your knees if that feels good, opening through the hips a little bit. And when you're ready, I'm going to get a drink slowly after you roll up to standing. I'm going to get a drink, and then we're going to meet each other on the floor once again, head rested on our backs. All right, I got my drink. We start with corkscrew. So your head is rested. Your hands are going to come by your sides, pushing down hard into the ground outside the hips. Your legs are going straight to the ceiling. Squeeze your legs together. One long leg, pointed toes. You draw circles with your legs, keeping them connected. Once you finish a circle, you reverse directions and you alternate right, left, or clockwise, counterclockwise every time. Now, when we're doing this exercise, the low abs coming back into the picture, okay? So that means your low back needs to be glued to the ground to protect your low back and make the low abs do the work. Your low back is going to want to help out. It always wants to help out, but the low back isn't built for that. So let's keep it in the core. Press down hard through your palms. Keep your torso still as cement. Squeeze the inner thighs together. Extra bonus inner thigh work. And in 3, 2, 1, bend your knees, send your feet flat to the floor. Give yourself a wiggle if you need. We take it to dead bugs next. So we're going to put ourselves in an upside down tabletop. So that means your hands are straight to the ceiling, fingertips up, and then you're lifting your feet off the ground. Your knees are bent, your shins are parallel to the ceiling, your knees are stacked over the hips. From here, we do opposite arm, opposite leg. So right leg and left arm are going to extend away from the torso to hover off the ground, and then they're going to come back to their starting position. Switch sides, left leg, right arm. Extend to hover, come back through center. Alternating. Glue your low back to the ground. This is another one. We're working low abs, and we're also working obliques. So let that spine stay cemented down towards the ground. Really actively push it down. Your tailbone might lift a little bit off the ground with that big activation through the abs. Embrace that. Really, with all your might, push the spine down. Opposite arm, opposite leg extending. If it doesn't feel good to do opposite arm, opposite leg, you can do one arm at a time, one leg at a time. When your knees come back over the hips, be mindful that they are staying over the hips. The knees are going to want to creep forward towards the ribs. Try to prevent that from happening, keep in that active exercise. The knees to the chest will give you a rest. We want to keep ourselves in the work. And in 3, 2, 1. Nice job. We just did a lot for the hip flexors. So we're going to set our feet flat to the floor, knees to the ceiling. And we're going to go into our bridge series. And if you haven't noticed, we've done a little bit extra for the inner thighs today. So we're going to keep that trend. We're going to take our hands, press them hard down into the ground outside the hips. And then I want you to take your feet wider than the hips. Okay? You choose how wide is wide. Flex your feet so that your heels dig into the ground, your toes are lifted. And we're going to do our bridges from here. So squeeze the glutes, lift the hips off the ground. Your head stays rested, and then lower the hips back down to the ground. So squeeze the glutes, hips lift, slowly lower them back down. When you're in the up position with the hips, you have a line, like a diagonal line from knees to hips to ribs to shoulders. And then you reset. So the shoulders, the upper back stay grounded. The mid to lower back does lift with the hips. Think about trying to lift one vertebrae at a time. So the hips lift, or the tailbone lifts first, and then that lower back vertebrae come up, and then the middle and then they reverse on the way down. The tailbone's the last to touch. Think about squeezing through the glutes and the hamstrings. With the feet flexed, you're getting that extra spice through the hamstrings. With the feet wider than the hips, that's the inner and outer thighs working a little bit harder. You're breathing, you're taking this at your pace. Maybe you hold for an extra moment at the top, maybe you don't. Slower movements here, increase time under tension. You're breathing. Firing up through the back side of the body here. Maybe you embrace the stretch through the hip flexors since we just worked them a lot. When your hips are in that up position, feel that stretch in front of the hip bones before you lower back down. And in 3, 2, 1. Next time your hips are down, keep them down and give yourself a little wiggle if you need. We're going to take it to a twist with the low body. So keep your head rested. Your hands were outside your hips. You can make them go a little bit further from the hips, anywhere between the hips and outside the shoulders. Whatever feels good to you is fine by me. And then you're going to lift your feet off the ground into your upside down tabletop. So that means your knees are bent, knees stacked over hips, shins parallel to the ceiling. Press down hard through the palms, wherever they're at. Push your back down towards the ground. Let your knees fall over to the left and then come back through center. Let them fall over to the right. Now, when you're doing this, your hip can peel off the ground. That's okay. I want your shoulders to stay grounded though. So if your shoulder starts to peel off the ground, you've gone too far. Use the push of your palms down into the ground to your advantage. As your knees fall left and right in space, you're going to feel your obliques, your side abs have to engage to bring those knees back through center. Press through the palms. It's going to help add that activation through the core. Breathing as you go. Lots of obliques. You've got it. And in 3, 2, 1, send your feet back flat down to the ground. We're going to send our legs up to the ceiling. So go ahead and send both legs up to the ceiling. Now your hands can come back outside the hips and you can point your toes. You're going to open your legs left and right, and then you're going to bring them back through center. So with a pointed toe, left leg falls left, right leg falls right, and then flex your feet and bring them back together to the ceiling. So toes pointed, they fall left and right, feet flexed, they come back in to meet towards the ceiling over the hips. You're fighting for as straight of a leg as you can get. That being said, my legs are almost never straight in this. So fight for what you can. And then as your legs are opening to the sides, you're going to feel that stretch through the inner thigh. And as your legs are coming back together to meet, you're feeling that contraction through the inner thigh. This is also big hip opener. Breathe through it. And in 3, 2, 1. Next time your feet are together and up, bend your knees, send your feet flat to the floor. Give yourself a little wiggle if you need one. We're going to go back to the low abs. So I want you to take your legs to an upside down tabletop. We're going to do upside down tabletop toe taps. So your knees stacked over your hip, your shins parallel to the ceiling. Take your right toes, tap them on the ground, keeping the bend in your knee. Come back through center, switch. Left toes tap down to the ground. Pull your spine down, press it hard down into the ground. That's going to protect the low back and give us the engagement through the low abs that we're looking for. If you press your palms down hard into the ground outside your hips, you're going to get extra activation and stabilization. Nice job. And in 3, 2, 1, keep those knees in that upside down tabletop position. And then I want you to pull your knees towards your chest so that your tailbone rocks off the ground, and then go back to those knees stacked over the hips. So it's a tiny movement. Knees come towards the chest, tailbone lifts towards the ceiling, and then release. Knees towards the chest, release. So when you're doing this, this is a reverse crunch. So think about when you do a standard crunch, how your shoulder blades lift and then lower back to the ground. Now we're doing that in the reverse direction. So the tailbone is like the shoulder blades, curling up to hover off the ground a couple inches and then rolling back down to the ground. Nice job. And in 3, 2, 1. Now you're gonna send your leg straight to the ceiling with a pointed toe, and we do that same movement, this time with legs towards the ceiling. It's called a lower body curl. So you're gonna pull your tailbone sharp up towards the ceiling, release, repeat. Pull the tailbone sharp towards the ceiling, release, repeat. Low abs working out for us here. Breathing, pressing down through the palms. Nice deep breaths. And in 3, 2, 1, bend your knees, send your feet flat to the floor. Nice job. I'm gonna get a drink and we're gonna transition to working on the posterior chain, the back side of the body, and we will start in tabletop position. So I'm gonna get a drink and then I'll meet you on hands and knees. All right. For our start of activating through the back side of the body, we're doing our bird dog. So your hands are underneath your shoulders, your knees are underneath your hips, your back is flat, your head is in line with your spine. Your right arm is going to reach forward ahead of the right shoulder, and then your left leg is going to reach long back, extending behind the left hip. Then you reset, you switch sides. Left arm, right leg. Now keep going at your pace. I'm going to give a couple more cues here. So if opposite arm, opposite leg doesn't work for you today, you can do one arm at a time, one leg at a time. That's always an option. Now, when you're doing your reaches, I want the limb to stay at the same height as the joint. So the arm stays at shoulder height, the leg stays at hip height. It does not go higher. It will want to go higher. Your back stays completely flat. That's accomplished by pulling your belly button up towards your spine to engage the core. That is super important because as we extend our leg back, the low spine, the low back is going to want to dip down towards the ground. But if we keep that belly button pulled in, keep a little tuck of those hips there, then our work is going into the glutes, out of the lower back. Head is in line with your spine. We have a tendency to want our heads to drop. Think about your neck as an extension of the spine, nice and long, reaching through the crown of the head. You're breathing. Keep the back flat. And in 3, 2, 1. We're gonna make it spicy here real quick. So we're gonna take it from a plank to a floating tabletop. Take breaks as you need. I'm gonna walk us through the whole thing. You're gonna start in your plank position, hands underneath shoulders, and then walk them a little bit wider. And then you're on your hands and your toes. This is done best from the hands rather than the forearms. And then your head is in line with your spine, nice long line from head to heels. And then you're gonna bend your knees and shift your hips back so that the low body ends up in that floating tabletop position. So what I mean by that is you start in a straight line plank like you're about to do a push-up, and then your knees bend as you shift your hips back, but your knees stay hovering, your shins stay hovering. Your hips stop once they're directly stacked over the knees, and then you come back to your plank position. This fires up through the tops of the thighs quite a bit as you go back and bend those knees. It's also called a plank squat. And then you come back to your plank. So firing up through the thighs as well as the core. The entire back squeezes for stability. And next time your knees are hovering, let's drop those knees gently down to the ground. Take a deep breath. Give yourself a shake out. Beautiful job. We're going to lay on the front sides of our bodies. So belly button down. When you are down, start with your hands by your sides outside the hips. From here, chest down, nose points down, squeeze your or take your legs to hip width or shoulder width apart behind you with pointed toes. You're going to lift your upper and lower body off the ground, keeping the hip bones driving towards the ground. Belly button will pull towards the spine, but the belly will still stay on the ground. So go ahead and lift upper and lower body and then lower them back down. Lift and lower. You can do this with your breath cycle to start. Exhaling to lift, inhaling to lower. The upper and lower body only lift an inch or so, or a handful of inches. And we are squeezing through the backside of the body to make this happen. So those glutes and hamstrings are squeezing to get the legs lifted, and the back is squeezing, all the muscles surrounding and supporting the spine, squeeze to get the chest lifted. All right, next time we're gonna hold it in the up position, but keep breathing. And then from here, really pull those shoulder blades down and back. And then I want you to keep lifted and try to squeeze the legs together. Inner thighs come in together to touch if they can, or just squeeze in towards each other. I personally cannot get my legs to come in to touch, so it's okay. But you're getting that extra activation again through the inner thighs. Breathe. And in 3, 2, 1, release down to the ground. Nice job. From here, take your arms and reach them forward ahead of the shoulders. So you're like Superman or Superwoman. Your fingertips reach forward, your toes reach back. Your toes can be hip width apart once again. And you're gonna lift upper and lower body off the ground. Keep breathing, chest and low body lift. And then we take it to swimming. So your right arm and left leg lift an inch higher. And then you switch, left arm, right leg an inch higher. Switch, 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 switch. Keeping your neck nice and long. Breathing, don't hold your breath here. And in 3, 2, 1, rest. Nice job. Now we're gonna windshield wiper ourselves out to release any tension through the low back and spine. So stack your palms or rest your head however feels good to you. I like to stack one palm over the other, fingertips reaching right and left, and then rest my forehead on those stacked palms with my elbows out wide. You do whatever feels best in your body. From here, bend your knees and bring your heels towards your bottom, and then you're gonna let those shins, those feet fall right, come back through center, fall left. Windshield wipering the legs, letting the hip socket move freely, releasing any tension through the low back. Breathe as you go. Relax the shoulders. Embrace this chance for release. And in 3, 2, 1, shake yourself out. We're going to come into our glute series, and it's going to be clamshells today. I'm getting a quick drink. We're going to lay on our left side, so left side down, right side up. Okay, lying on your left side, I want you to be fully on your side, so your hips are stacked right over left, your legs are stacked right over left. You have options for your left arm to support you. You can use your arm as a pillow, rest the head in the palm of your left hand, or prop yourself up on your forearm, elbow underneath shoulder. From here, I want you to bend your knees, bring them towards your chest. Knees should be at least in front of the hips. The closer they come to towards your chest, the more this will feel spicy. So use that information to your advantage. Now, your right hand can either go on your hip to help with proper form, or it can go in front of your chest for more support. You choose which one is going to be best for you today. Now, keeping the inner edges of your feet connected, lift your right knee towards the ceiling and then lower it back down to stack on top of the left knee. Right knee lifts, lowers. This is your standard clamshell that we're doing here. Now, if your right hand is on your right hip, I want you to be feeling for that right hip to stay in place. The right hip is automatically going to want to dip backwards to help the hips open. We don't want the hips to open. We want them to stay exactly where they are. because the hips opening means the hips are taking some of that movement out of the muscle and into the joint. We want the muscles to be doing the work, so the outer right glutes are what's firing up, what's spicy right now, by keeping that right hip on top of the left. That does mean your movement will be smaller, the knee will not lift as high, and that's okay. Bigger isn't better here. Keep breathing. Think about trying to pull your rib cage away from the floor. Depending on how you set up, your rib cage might stay on the floor, and that's okay. Think about pulling it up. Get that activation anyway. Help support the torso. This is feeling really spicy today. In 3, 2, 1, let that right knee rest. Now we're going to go for an internal rotation of the hip. We just did external. So keep the thighs, the knees connected. Now the right foot is going to lift towards the ceiling and then stack on top of the left. Right foot lifts, lowers, lifts, lowers. Internal rotation of the hip. Keeping the knees glued the entire time here. And in 3, 2, 1, that top leg is going to rest. Now I want you to keep the top leg mirroring the left, but I want you to lift the top leg, the right leg, to hip height. So right leg comes up to hip height. It's still hovering over the left. Point your right toes. Right leg extends forward to kick forward and then bends again. So as you kick your right leg forward and then bend it, I want the thigh, the right thigh, to stay exactly mirroring the left thigh. So don't let that knee, the right knee, come too far forward or extend too far back. I want it to stay hovering over the left knee as the knee bends and extends. You've got it. The closer your thigh is to your chest, the more spicy this gets. Embrace that. And in 3, 2, 1, bend that right knee, rest that right leg. We switch sides. My fan is making a weird noise, so I'm going to turn it off. It's a high-pitched squealing. Your right hip is down. Your left hip is up towards the ceiling. You are lying on your right side. You have options. Right arm is a pillow. Right hand you rest your head in the palm of your right hand, or you prop yourself up on your forearm. Your elbow is underneath your shoulder. Your left hand can either press down into the ground in front of the torso or stay on top of the left hip. Your knees bend in towards you, at least in front of the hips, if not closer to the chest. Keep your inner edges of your feet connected. Your right, or your left knee rather, lifts and lowers, lifts and lowers. As your knee lifts and lowers, the inner edges of the feet do stay connected, and you want to keep that left hip stacked over the right. If your hip opens and falls back, you're losing some of that engagement through the right side of the glutes. You breathe as you go through this. Think about actively pulling the ribcage away from the floor. Again, it might stay on the floor. It's the activation we're looking for, not necessarily the movement, okay? Breathe. Keep the shoulders relaxed away from the ears wherever you're at. Just try not to tense them. This is a spicy one. Outer left glutes working here. External rotation of the hip. You've got it. Breathe. And in 3, 2, 1, keep the inner thighs connected. We do internal rotation. So the thighs stay connected, the left foot lifts and lowers. Again, doesn't have to be a huge range, can just be a couple inches. Internal rotation of the hip. You've got it. Breathe as you go. And in 3, 2, 1, rest that left leg, and then I want you to keep your left leg mirroring your right and lift the entire left leg to hover at hip height, no higher or lower. And then take your left toes and point them. I want you to kick your left leg forward, pointed toe goes forward, and then bend back to where it started. I want the left thigh to stay hovering exactly over the right thigh as the leg kicks so that the knees stay stacked. The knee doesn't creep forward or go back. The thigh stays in the same spot as the lower leg goes forward and then back to where it came from. You've got it. And in 3, 2, 1, rest. Nice job. I'm gonna get a quick drink and we're gonna end with a plank. Yay! Everybody say yay. You gotta do hard things. Okay, so we're gonna end in a plank. You can do a plank from your forearms or your hands. I'm gonna get into mine now. Feel free to take breaks as I walk through if you need. I'm gonna do a standard straight arm plank. My hands are wider than my shoulders. My feet are stepped back, straight line from head to heels, like you're about to do a push-up. You want your belly button pulled in towards your spine. You want your head in line with your spine. Don't let the head drop. And you're holding so that you're as stiff as a board. It's called a plank, like a plank of wood. You are solid. Your hips are pulled up and back, so your belly button's pulled into your spine. Your hips will want to dip. Don't let them. You're breathing. If you're on your forearms, your elbows are underneath your shoulders. Your forearms are reaching forward, palms pressed down. And you're breathing. And we'll finish it here in 3, 2, 1. Nice job, everybody. We love a plank grand finale. Okay, that brings us to our stretch. I'm going to change our tunes to our stretch tunes. All right. Get a drink of water if you need. And feel free to follow along in our stretches, please. As we did this whole class, feel free to listen to your body and do what you need most. I'm going to start in tabletop position for cat-cow on hands and knees, like a cat or a cow would be. Okay, so hands underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips, back is flat, head is in line with your spine. You take a nice deep inhale to start. On your exhale, push through your palms, tuck your chin to your chest. Push your spine up towards the ceiling, getting a nice round shape, decompressing through the spine, letting all the muscles that surround the spine release just a little bit. When you need to inhale, you take it to cat-cow by dipping your belly low, rolling your shoulders back, pointing your nose forward, opening your collarbone wide, filling the belly with air. And then you'll go through this at your own pace. Cat is when your spine is up and you exhale. Cow is when your belly is low and you inhale. Maybe you add wiggles from side to side with the hips. Maybe you don't. Maybe you shift your weight forward and back. Maybe you don't. Play with it. Find what's going to feel best in your body. Find what your body needs. And when you're ready, take a nice deep breath. Come back to a flat back. Curl your toes under. Take it to your pike position. So hips send to the sky. The hands and the balls of the feet are still on the ground. Push your heels towards the ground for a deeper stretch through the backs of the legs and pull your chest towards your knees for a deeper stretch through the spine. You can have a soft bend in your knees if you'd like, or straight legs. I like to have a soft bend and then I can get deeper into the stretch. And then when you're ready, carefully bring those knees back down to the ground. We roll to our backs. Once you're on your back, you're laying down nice and long. You pull your right knee to your chest. Your left leg goes long on the ground. Or if it feels better for you to support through the low back, you can have your left foot planted flat on the floor. You breathe. Starting to open up through the backside of the right side of the body. Low back and glutes. Maybe on your next exhale, you invite the right knee just an inch further to the right towards the right shoulder to open it up through the inner thigh and the hip. And on your next breath cycle, maybe you take it to your twist. Your your left hand comes to the outside of your right knee. You guide your right knee up and over towards the left side of the body. Your right arm goes long out to a T shape, nose points right. Your right hip can peel off the ground if that feels good. This is a glute stretch, a spine twist, and a shoulder and chest opener. Really embracing that chest opener, keeping that right shoulder grounded. And when you're ready, you'll reset through center, give both knees a little hug to your chest, rock side to side, and you'll pull your left knee into your chest. Your right leg will go long or your foot will go flat. My joints are cracking all over the place today. Take nice deep breaths here as we start to open up through the back of the left side of the body, glutes and low back. Maybe on your next exhale, you open your left knee just an inch or so further to the left to open up through the inner thigh and hip. And maybe you take it to your twist. Your right hand comes to the outside of your left knee. The left knee gets guided up and over to the right side of the body. The left hip can peel off the ground. The left arm goes long to a T outside the left shoulder. The nose points left. Spine twist, glute stretch, shoulder and chest opener, keeping that left shoulder grounded. And when you're ready, come back through center. Give both knees a hug to your chest. Rock back and forth or side to side, whatever's going to feel good. You're just resetting the spine here. And then you'll come up to a seated position. Go ahead and sit nice and tall for our seated forward fold. Extend your legs long in front of you. Sit nice and tall, shoulders stacked over hips. Inhale, reach your arms out to the side, up over the head. Exhale, hinge forward from the waist, folding yourself in half. Fingertips reach towards your toes. Collapsing through the upper body. Let the shoulder blades fall apart and away from each other, away from the ears. Let the stretch come up through the low back, mid back, upper back. With every exhale, you just get a little bit deeper into your stretch. With every inhale, think about prepping yourself for that next release. And then with every exhale, giving yourself that permission to take that space, release through the tension. And when you're ready, you can slowly sit up out of that and come to your butterfly. The bottoms of your feet will come together to touch. Your knees bend out to each side. You hinge forward from the waist. You're stretching inner thighs and hips here. Maybe you have a gentle rest of your arms on the inner thighs. The wider your knees go, the deeper the stretch becomes, and the closer your heels come towards your hips, the deeper the stretch becomes. If you want to get further into it, you can even hinge forward from the waist, bringing the shoulders forward, the chest forward. And you can release that. We come into our child's pose or rest position next. Another spine decompressor. So your hands are going to start underneath your shoulders, knees underneath hips in your tabletop position. Your knees are going to end up coming wider than the hips, and then your big toes will touch behind you. Bring your hips back towards your heels, and then walk your fingertips forward. Think about grounding your tailbone towards the heels as you reach the fingertips forward, pressing the palms down, rolling the shoulder blades down and back, letting the belly drop nice and low. Maybe the forehead comes to the ground. The reach from the tailbone and the fingertips in opposite directions is really going to elongate through the spine. Feel that relax, that release through the back. And then the press down of the fingertips. You'll feel that activation right away through the lats, the triceps. If you'd like, you can take your hands 2 pitter-patters to the right, stack your left palm on top of your right palm, and feel that side body stretch through the left side of the body. Think about pulling that left hip bone down and back as you reach nice and long with those arms. And then pitter-patter your hands back through center, and we'll take a couple pitter-patters over to the left. This time, your right palm stacks over your left. Think about pulling your right hip down and back as you reach long with those fingertips, those right fingertips elongating through the right side of the body. And when you're ready, bring your hands back through center, standard child's pose, reaching forward with the fingers back with the tailbone. And when you're ready, you can slowly walk those hands back towards you. Take another nice deep breath for yourself. And we will end our core stability there.